All right. Today, we're diving into something that's honestly a little bit mind-blowing. It's this powerful, almost invisible force that shapes who wins and who loses in, well, pretty much everything. It's called the Matthew effect. I mean, you've seen this, right? Why do the rich seem to just get richer? Why do the popular kids get even more popular? You see it everywhere. Business, social media, you name it. It's like some people catch a wave and just ride it, while everyone else is paddling like crazy and going nowhere. Well, it turns out there's a name for that. And that name is the Matthew effect. So what is it? Put simply, it's this idea of cumulative advantage. Basically, once you get a little bit of a head start, that advantage doesn't just add up, it multiplies. A tiny initial edge can lead to these massive, disproportionate rewards down the line. It's not about being a little bit ahead, it's about being launched into a whole other stratosphere. And where does this name come from? You might be surprised. It's actually from a pretty intense passage in the Bible, in the Gospel of Matthew. The quote is kind of brutal, right? For to everyone who has, more will be given, but from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Wow, it just perfectly nails that seemingly unfair dynamic at the heart of it all. Okay, so how did this ancient biblical idea become a modern theory? For that, we need to jump to 1968. A sociologist named Robert K. Merton was looking at, of all places, the scientific community. And what he found there was a real head-scratcher. So Merton noticed that these really famous, established scientists were getting all the credit. I mean, way more than their fair share. Meanwhile, you had younger, brilliant, but unknown researchers doing similar, sometimes even the same work, and they were just overlooked. It was like a famous name was a magnet for praise. And this was a huge deal. It totally challenged this idea we have that science is a pure meritocracy, where only the best ideas win. So, how does this actually work? How does a small advantage become a huge one? Well, the best way to picture it is to think of a snowball. Yeah, think about it. You're at the top of a snowy hill with two snowballs. One is just a tiny bit bigger than the other. You push them both. As they roll, that slightly bigger one naturally picks up more snow, right? It gets bigger faster. By the time it hits the bottom of the hill, it's not slightly bigger anymore, it's a giant boulder. The other one is still just a big snowball. That's the Matthew effect in a nutshell. And this happens because it's a feedback loop, a cycle that just keeps feeding itself. So step one, you get some small initial advantage. Maybe you learn to read a little early. Step two, because of that, you get more visibility, more credibility. People notice you. Step three, that opens doors to better opportunities, better coaching, better resources. Step four, with those better resources, of course your performance gets better. And finally, step five, that enhanced performance reinforces your status, which gives you, you guessed it, even more advantages. And the whole cycle starts over. But this time, the snowball is bigger. Okay, so this isn't just some abstract theory. This thing is happening all around us all the time. Let's break down a few examples you'll definitely recognize. Let's start with education, because this is where the seeds of the Matthew effect often get planted really, really early. Just picture two kids in first grade. One kid picks up reading just a little bit faster, so reading becomes fun for them. Because it's fun, they do it more. Their vocabulary explodes, they start acing tests, and that success opens doors, advanced reading groups, more encouragement from teachers. Now think about the other kid, the one who struggled a bit. For them, reading is a chore. They avoid it. They fall behind. And what starts as a tiny little gap in ability becomes this massive achievement gap a few years later, the snowball effect. All right, how about in wealth and economics? This one's a big one. You've heard the saying, it takes money to make money, right? Well, that's basically the Matthew effect in action. Think about it. If you have some starting capital, you can get into investments, stocks, real estate, whatever, that other people just can't touch. And those investments, they make more money for you, just like compound interest. It's a feedback loop. So the gap between those who have capital and those who don't doesn't just stay the same. It's designed by its very nature to get wider and wider. And now for an example you probably experience every single day. Just open your phone. Social media platforms are basically supercharged Matthew effect engines. I mean, how does a video go viral? It's not always because it's the best video, right? It's because it got a little bit of early traction, a few early likes and shares. The algorithm sees that and goes, ooh, people like this, and starts showing it to more people. That new visibility gets it even more likes and shares, and boom, it explodes. The popular gets more popular. Meanwhile, some amazing video that didn't get that initial lucky break just disappears into the void.
So why does this happen over and over again? What are the actual mechanics behind this? Let's get into the drivers that really lock this cycle into place.
Well, there are a few big ones. First, there's our own perception bias. We see a successful person and we just assume they're competent at everything. It's called the halo effect. Then, obviously, there's resource access. Having an advantage gives you better tools to get even more success. There's also a huge psychological piece. Success builds confidence, which makes you try harder. And failure? It can crush your motivation. And finally, the systems themselves. Our schools, our companies, they're often set up to reward people who've already won. And this is really important to remember. This is a two-sided coin. For every snowball of advantage rolling downhill, there's a snowball of disadvantage doing the exact same thing. An early setback doesn't just hold you back once. It can create new hurdles, destroy your confidence, and start a downward spiral. That's the dark side of this. Cumulative disadvantage.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does all this mean? If we know the game can be rigged by these feedback loops, what's the big takeaway?
Well, it has some pretty massive implications. For one, it shows us just how critical early interventions are. A little help at the beginning can completely change the outcome at the end. It also reminds us that success isn't just about talent and hard work. The system you're in, the opportunities you get, they matter a lot. And maybe the biggest point is this. If we care about fairness, we can't just build systems that reward winners. We have to build systems that give everyone a real shot at the starting line.
And that really leaves us with one final huge question to chew on. If we know for a fact that tiny initial advantages get blown up into massive, life-altering differences, where is the single most important place for us to focus our energy to make sure everyone gets a fair start?